Today's edition of MacVoices is supported by Linode. You can build it on Linode. Get started today with $100 in free credit for MacVoices listeners and viewers at linode.com/MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices Live on Facebook. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, we are going to talk about Apple's high-speed event that happened just a few hours ago. We have an all-star panel of I don't know quite what, but we have an all-star panel right here. So we're going to go around, introduce everybody, and then you can decide what the all-star panel is. And I'm going to take it, as always, just from what's on my screen, so no preferences shown here. First up, Mr. David Ginsburg. David, welcome.
Hey, Chuck. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here. Just seems like we just did a podcast a few hours ago.
Yeah, and thanks for sabotaging my first intro of the show that made me do a take two. That was good. Mr. Jeff Gamet is back with us.
And I'm excited to be here. And I'd like to point out, I am not the reason why you had to do a take two this time.
Yeah, this time. For the first time probably ever, you're not the reason. But, you know. Next up, Mr. Mark Fuccio, hiding in front of a grape tree or something. I'm not quite sure what.
A grape
Hello,
tree.
everyone.
Thank
you very much, Chuck, for the invitation. I think we'll have some good fun here. And back to you.
Thank you. Kelly Guimont is here drinking hard cider. Look out.
I am indeed. It's Valley of the Pear from Reverend Nat's. It's a local place. And I'm also not the reason that you had to do another intro. So I would like to point that out as well.
This time.
Take good credit this time.
This time.
Last but absolutely not least, Mr. Ken Ray is joining us. Ken, great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Chuck. That's all I got. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep us on track, man. That's all. So
I appreciate the efforts. That's about as concise as we get.
I will say, though, it would be bad. Thank you very much for having me. I do appreciate it. I was actually thinking the other day, it's been a while since you and I, so thanks for making it happen.
Hey, this is great. I felt the vibrations coming, my way from the West, and here we are. We do have a couple other folks who may be joining us a little bit late because of different schedule things, but that's okay. That's sort of the format of MacVoices Live. And we ask you to join us in the chat on Facebook. So please, if you have questions, comments, thoughts, those are always welcome. The Zoom room is closed tonight because we have such a large panel. We didn't want to have it all the little squares get too small on your screen. So the Zoom room will be back open next week. So with that, let's just dive in. We had the high speed event today, where two major products seem to be announced, and we'll take them in order. The first one, the HomePod Mini, which seemed to be a surprise to not much of anybody, given all the rumors. But the reality, I think, was, at least for me, a little surprising. How about everybody else?
The price was surprising.
Yes,
I agree.
I nailed that, and I'm going to take my victory lap for that now. Thank you. I'm glad it happened because, Chuck, I kind of gave you the hard sell on this. I think last week we talked about what we thought was coming. And I had pointed out there's a whole lot of room between the Bluetooth speaker you can buy now and the HomePod for Apple to make something that would be really nifty and a lot more approachable for a lot of people who aren't necessarily in the market for the full-on HomePod. And I think this might do it. It's still, I think $99 is what Apple considers sort of the budget-friendly price. I wish there had been a $50 one, but I'll take what I can get. Aesthetically, it looks a little bit like a candle from Crate and Barrel to me, but
I was going to say that
at least it's much smaller, and it looks like they've still done a lot with. They didn't skimp on the sound in the $100 version, so I'm into it. I'm gonna see if there's at least one spot in my house where I can put one of these and probably swap out an Echo unit, probably the Echo Base that I have in the basement. So
only one? I know somebody who said they were going to buy 5.
I'm starting with one. We're gonna see how it goes, and if
do you have a
that
HomePod
works,
now?
Then we'll see. No.
Oh, I have 2.
No.
They're great. I mean, I think this thing with all the additional functionality, I think will be really exciting.
the regular HomePod is fantastic, but I solved my I really need awesome audio problem like many years ago with super duper speakers. It's a whole thing. Someday I'll broadcast from the other side of this wall and show you what the what the basement situation looks like when it comes to audio.
I think that's the beauty of the HomePod is most people of a certain age, do have that special room with the big super duper speakers, and they rarely, and it probably doesn't get used as much as you stick a HomePod in the kitchen or TV room or wherever,
right.
and it gets used
and that's
frequently a lot more, even though it may not be as good at sound.
Right, but it's still going to be really good, and that's the thing that I'm glad about, is that they're putting out a quality sounding alternative to the other speakers with assistants that are available.
So, what would you or the others in the panel say to people who say that even at $99, it's still too expensive compared to an Alexa, which today is Prime Day. It's you can get one in an ugly color that obviously isn't selling. That's why they've heavily discounted it to $18.99.
Well,
you can get an Echo Dot for like $20, and that's not hard to do.
I have two HomePods that are actually right next to me here that I use as a pair as my stereo along with my Sonos Move, and I would probably get one for another room. And I definitely the first thing I said to my wife, I says, "Hey, I think you got a Christmas present you could buy instead of me buying it myself." So because of the value, I raised my hand just like Kelly did when I first heard the announcement. I was like, yes, this is just great.
Oh no, I was right. I have been correct. I will accept your adoration now. Give it to me.
So yes. I mean, it was just. I think the pricing is smart. I think it's smart on Apple's part. That means they're really going to get people into this audio market that they had. I mean, let's face it, the HomePod business has slowed. It's slowed tremendously. They had discounts so you could get. I mean, I saw HomePods that were as low as $199, $190. I mean, when I bought both of them, I was able to get them for the price of one because of just the discount. So, but yeah, I think this is really going to get people into the market and really want to buy one of these.
Mark, I'd love to address your question about what do you tell people that think this is still overpriced, and I think the answer is then HomePod and HomePod Mini are not for you, and that's perfectly fine. There are less expensive products out there. My full home audio system is actually based on Echoes because I could get Echo Dots and plug speakers into them. Yep. And so I have whole home audio that way. When I say whole home, I have to kind of do like this because I live in an apartment. So yeah, for those people that aren't happy with the price, that's okay. There are other products out there that they will probably be just fine with.
You could see it being a thing though that
I think sorry, Ken, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, quite right. It's the kind of thing I think that what's great about the HomePod is you don't have to make all of those decisions at once, especially now that it's $99. Like I have a friend who has two full-sized HomePods. He works for Apple, so he's able to get them at a discount, but he still bought two full-sized HomePods to be his soundbar for his television. And even at his discount, that would have been a crazy thing for me to consider. Looking at two of these as a pair for a stereo or as a soundbar for a television or something like that, it doesn't seem ridiculous to think about two of those for $200 as opposed to two of those for, what would that have been, like 600 something initially, right? Yeah. And it's not a decision you have to make right away. $99 based on what they've done with the sound, based on the stuff that it'll do with Siri, you can go ahead and pick up one. And if it ends up being a great, speaker for the bathroom or speaker for the kitchen, or, if it ends up being a great speaker for an out of the way place and that's all it ever is, that's fine. It'll still be able to do, all the different things that it can do. But, if you find you like that one, building that sound system that Kelly's talking about for somebody who hasn't built that sound system yet is not going to take wires. It's not going to take time. It's not even really going to take much in the way of setup. It's going to take, right. And yeah, I can afford another one right now. You don't have to do it. You don't have to buy, $500 worth of equipment today. You can buy $100 worth of equipment. Exactly. And then, buy another 100, buy another 100. It's like,
right. And I think that's the beauty of this is, $99 easy entry price. I think if you look at the speakers and the amount of components that are in it, I was shocked when they announced the price at $99. So this is obviously Apple, and volumes of scale that they get good deals on components. But I'm really interested in hearing them and doing a comparison with the additional HomePod to see. Do you give anything up in terms of loudness of volume, in terms of dynamic range? Have algorithms and things improved so that this thing with 4 mics instead of 7 mics in the original HomePod can sense and balance the room dynamics? We'll have to see. I mean, some of that, I think, yes, it's maybe 3 years of improvements in silicon technology. They can do certainly way much more in terms of algorithms. But when it comes to passive sound generation, I know I've on various Christmas shows I talked about other devices I have that have really great passive device speakers for very low bass response. We'll have to see what this thing does because I think this is clearly at the cutting edge of some part of audio technology. Maybe something not the audiophiles would latch onto, but I think certainly for a lot of people, it may be a step up in educating the ear to what better sound sounds like versus a $29 dot.
At the same, I mean, really quickly though, not to be that guy. Everybody on this call is sitting here from a place of privilege. $99 isn't nothing.
Right.
$99 isn't nothing for a lot of people. And so to say it's an easy entry, it's an easy entry for us. It's not the $29 dot for some people is going to be a stretch, but they might go ahead and try it. Right. The $99 thing, I mean, what sucks about, what's not great about everything they announced today used to be you could go into a store and figure it all out. And now maybe you can make an appointment and go into a store, but you can't just walk in and start handling this stuff. My favorite way to try an iPhone is to slink into an Apple store. Nobody knows why I'm there. I go around, I touch all 4 or all 6 or however many I'm considering, and then I walk out. You're not even going to be able to hear the HomePod probably until you get it in your home. So, I mean, there's a lot to consider. It's not, for those of us who are in the whole Apple ecosystem already, I have no doubt that the HomePod is going to sound great. I have absolutely no doubt that it's going to sound great because I trust Apple on that. For somebody who's never had a HomePod or who's never really been in the Apple ecosystem, who's trying to decide, $99 isn't nothing.
Right.
And I to again address Mark's question, but with a touch of adding to Jeff's, I think the Echo made its bones not with music, but as all right, leave me alone. As that kind of device where you can talk to it, you can get information. I mean, maybe it's just me, but I never felt like it was a music device really until until they brought out the Sonos version of it. And then, okay, now you've got some sound that I don't mind spending the money on, but I too want to hear these things, but I'm guardedly optimistic, given what I saw today, that a lot of technology has gone into them. And so, they may not sound as good as the full HomePod, but I don't think they're going to sound like the Echo Dot.
Right.
Oh, gosh,
and that's,
no.
Oh, no.
That was,
of course it will sound better than an Echo Dot.
And partly to Jeff's point, like maybe the HomePod Mini isn't for you. The way I'm going to justify this to my finance manager who sits behind me the rest of the time is that the other $75 of that is the privacy, because Apple doesn't care what I say to it. And it doesn't matter what I tell it. It doesn't matter what I've bought lately. It's not going to try and suggest that I can track all my orders of whatever stuff with it. It's not going to prompt me to ask it more questions so that it can sell my data to other companies. Like, that's not the point of it. So I feel like for myself, part of what I'm paying for in that $99, which I totally recognize, Ken, is not nothing, is the privacy. I'm paying for somebody to give me an assistant in a nice sounding speaker with an assistant in it that I can talk to, that is, and that's just between me and my HomePod, so to speak, and I think that makes a big difference, because like all the Echo devices came out, and the Echo devices are assistants that happen to have a speaker in them. And Apple got into that market with an amazing speaker that you can talk to if you want to, but the point of it was not necessarily the S Lady. And I feel like they're trying to shift that perception a little bit now with the Mini, by putting something out that is Apple cheap and getting it out there so that people really can try it and put the S Lady through the paces and see what it can do. Like, honestly, the walkie-talkie thing is the thing that makes me want to have more of them at my house. The intercom on my watch, it's walkie-talkie, but intercom looks super cool. And the reason for that is because I live in a split level house. So I have 3 different stories. And so it would really be nice if I was in one area and Mr. Kelly's in another area and I don't have to shout from where I am to where he is. That would be awesome.
Now the intercom that you just talked about, I just downloaded all the sales material that I have access to for my Apple user group, and I wanted to just get ahead of the game here. And they did mention with the HomePod that intercom was listed as one of the possible items that the regular HomePod will be able to do. It must be a software update that's going to provide that, which is great. I mean, because I'd hate to leave the folks who do have HomePods and not the HomePod Mini behind if you didn't have that feature. So that must be the reason why that they held back. Because they didn't update the HomePod to 14 yet. It's still on 13. So. That must have been the reason.
Yeah, I assume the reason we haven't seen the HomePod software update was because Apple had to announce the HomePod Mini first.
Mini, yeah, right.
And let it get out. Yeah.
And let it get out, right. Which is going to be next month, too. So,
this edition of MacVoices is supported by Linode. You can build it on Linode. Building and maintaining a web presence can be a complicated undertaking. And don't you need a little less complication in your life? Why not start by simplifying your cloud infrastructure with Linode's Linux virtual machines? Linode has 11 global data centers and provides 24/7, 365 human support with no restrictive tiers or frustrating handoffs, no matter what plan you have. MacVoices viewers and listeners can get started with a free $100 credit on Linode and then use it for shared or dedicated instances, S3 compatible object storage, managed Kubernetes, and more. Get all the details and sign up for your free account right now at linode.com/MacVoices to start with Linode, whether it's setting up your first website or moving an existing server to its new home. That's linode.com/MacVoices. Again, linode.com/MacVoices for $100 free credit to get started with your new server. Thanks to Linode for their support of MacVoices. Right. 2 quick comments from the chat room that I want to point out. The first one is that Mike LaPlante said that the first feature that Apple touts on HomePod mini page is room-filling sound. Right. So, that'll be interesting to see. And I'm optimistic about it. Frank said $99 for Apple is budget. And
like I said, Apple cheap.
Yeah, and I think that's a point, and to what Ken was saying. I mean, this is not supposed to be a $20 or a $2.99 Bluetooth speaker. You can go out and buy those, and that's fine. Right. This is for a different market, and I mean that's just the way it is. I don't think that's bad. What I'm going to be anxious now. These are not portable, so I have to wonder what's going to happen. There.
Almost. The size of a candle.
Yeah, but
you can move it, but it has to
battery operated.
Yeah,
it's not battery operated. Right, you have to plug. Right.
Battery.
Chuck, don't you still have your Apple Hi-Fi?
No, that's one I don't, Jeff. I've sold that long ago.
iPod Hi-Fi.
My iPod Hi-Fi.
iPod Hi-Fi.
So we have another guest joining us that will be arriving momentarily.
Me?
There's Ms. Brittany Smith. Hello, Brittany, and her big furry black microphone.
Hi.
Oh, okay.
God.
Hey, Brittany. It's
Brittany, before we go any farther, I have to ask you because it's bothered me trying to figure out what is the big box thing behind you.
We talked about that last week.
Yeah, you weren't here last week. Yes.
No, I was
It's a
here
VCR.
It's a vent that just looks like it's from Star Wars.
Okay, that's an absolutely awesome answer. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, we'll move on. Brittany, so making a late entrance, this is good because we get to ask you specifically, what you think of the HomePod Mini.
I was surprisingly impressed. I was a little dubious last week, and now I'm wondering if I need to part with an extra $100 because it's only $100, and this is Apple.
And what does that mean? This is
not
Apple.
Cheap.
It means it less
Not
than
a
an
lot of
adapter.
stuff with
$100
2
is cheap.
Oh, okay. I thought you were referring to the quality of Apple products, but you were referring to the price factor.
Yes, yeah. Not a lot of things come in 2 digits that aren't adapters.
Okay. One of the features that I thought was interesting, on the theory that you're going to place these things all over the house, is they specifically said that all the music or audio that's playing through them will sync.
Yes, it is.
Which makes sense because you can already do that with the full-size HomePod.
Right. But that, and you're right, but that to me puts it in a whole different class as far as going, maybe not exactly head to head, but certainly challenging the Sonos market.
Baby Sonos situation at that point. And yeah, because trust me, I've tried to sweet talk my house into a Sonos setup and it's not happening. So, because he was sold and then he saw the price and went, no. So, something like this would definitely be a viable option, and especially because it's not necessarily portable, but I have a power outlet outside, and I'm not going to be outside unless the weather is decent. And it's monsoon season here today, so it wouldn't be today anyway. But I could plug that in outside where I have a power outlet, and I could have the same music outside and inside when the weather is pleasant. And that right. Seems like a kind of nifty option to be able to have that happen. Because right now, the ability to do that is severely hindered by, coordinating indoor and outdoor speakers. I have a receiver that will do it, but I don't have the speakers that will. And I don't have to wire anything in order for this to be a reality. And that's also really nice.
And Kelly, you're inside the Apple ecosystem doing this. And we've seen Apple, and I've made this point a couple places, especially with my I'm not wearing them tonight, but my AirPods Pro, but even with the regular AirPods and iOS 14, the smart switching back and forth, at least for me, has been just nothing short of amazing, because it really does seem to know what I want to be hearing through my AirPods.
Which one's the real device you're actually listening to? Yeah.
Yeah, between computer, between iPad, between phone, if whatever's playing is usually what I really want to be hearing. So
I get the feeling Brittany disagrees.
I've been very impressed with my phone and my iPad. My Mac doesn't seem to know what to do with it. But in all fairness, I mostly connect them to do Zoom. And so only one direction, and maybe that's why it's getting confused. But yeah. iPad and iPhone, I was shocked.
Yeah.
Okay. So
how good it was.
Are you, well, of course we don't have Big Sur yet. Are you on Catalina?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So maybe that'll happen a little more seamlessly with Big Sur.
I'm hoping.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. So who is ordering one on day one?
Oh, I want to, but I don't know. I may hold off.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I guess it'd be
worth it. 2 maybes.
Yeah,
Mark?
My maybe comes from the fact that I spent $350 on a HomePod when it came out, and it's turned out to be a really nice streaming music device that's also a kitchen timer, and that's pretty much it. But the idea of having a second HomePod that's in the bedroom or in my office, so that I can have that that Apple Music Everywhere experience, it's for an extra $99. That's an experiment I'm willing to make. So
Mark,
we'll see.
Mark, you buy?
I don't know if I'll buy them, for myself right on day one. I can see certainly in December that it would be great Christmas
Very
gifts
popular.
for people that I have in mind. Might get one, but I have two, and foolish me, I paid full price for the two HomePods. At 6 months apart back. What was it? 3 years ago? 2 years ago when they first came out. So I enjoy them immensely. So I could see certainly in the fullness of time, I might populate other rooms with some of the HomePod minis, but short term, I've got to figure out, do I want to upgrade to an iPhone, or what other stuff do I spend money on that Apple temptingly waves in front of us?
Right. Kelly?
Mine maybe is logistical, because at my house on the 16th, we call it Christmas in November. And by we, I mean just me, because it's my birthday. So what I need to figure out is whether or not I can just tell Mr. Kelly, I want one of these for my birthday, and we can just call it good. Or if there's extra gyrations or negotiations involved in making that a reality. That's really all it comes down to. I definitely want to get one. I know exactly where I will put it. I want to figure out if it's going to make all the HomeKit stuff that I've been doing this year worthwhile. And, if I can use her to turn on and off the lights and do all of those sorts of things, then that would be fantastic. So that's what I'm hoping is really at this point, it's a logistical question of like, are we going to call this a birthday present, or am I just going to go buy one and then you still have to figure out what to get me for Christmas in November? That's really
Kelly, you can do both. You can buy one now, and then come your birthday, you need another one, and then Christmas, you need another one. So, voila, you have three.
So if I just tell all my parents, this is what I want for my birthday, and then I'll just have a set, is what you're saying.
And then they're like rabbits. They reproduce, and they're like crazy.
Dribbles.
I didn't even think of that. My birthday's on November 10th, and it's being pre-ordered on the 6th. So that might work out if I do say, hey, honey, I want this for my birthday. So I would get it on day one. So, hey, I was going to add one thing I just saw come through the news here on the Apple, on the HomePod. Apple did confirm that the HomePod Mini cannot pair with a HomePod for stereo paired sound. So they will not allow it. So you can't use a HomePod and a HomePod Mini to pair, which makes total sense. They will work together.
Whoa. Makes sense how?
I agree.
Why? They want to sell you two iPad minis?
Oh, HomePods.
HomePod minis. I'm sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah. They're not the same speaker. You don't want mismatched speakers as a set.
They're considering a mismatched speaker, so that's why.
I'm nowhere near naming.
I'm thinking that's their logic. I mean, I kind of agree with you, Ken. Why wouldn't they allow you to do it? But,
is this purely for the stereo effect? Like, I'm assuming if I have a mixture of them throughout my house, they will still all sync the same music.
Yeah, it will still sync the same music, right? But it won't be as a stereo pair. Like I have my two HomePods right now set as a stereo pair. They both play the same thing.
That makes sense because they talk so much about, how it's listening and trying to figure out the whole surrounding. And so the two of them trying to figure out their own surrounding and then talk to each other. I thought you were saying it just wasn't going to sync at all, in which case I was
no, I'm sorry.
I'm going to flip the desk and walk out in anger.
Yeah, no, the stereo pair. Because the HomePod
the sound might be off because they're not the same quality.
They're not the same speaker, so you're not going to get...
Yeah.
I mean, the HomePod itself will be supporting. It already supports Dolby Atmos and the 5.1 and 7.1 surround, which the HomePod Mini will not support.
Ken, I want to get to you about your purchase plans, but we have one last guest joining us. So I hit the magic button, and there he is,
Frederick.
Hey.
Mr. Van Johnson. How are you, sir?
Oh, there, Frederick.
Hello. Sorry, I'm late. I was at the dentist.
That's a good reason to be late for anything.
I love that
That's
shirt.
the best and worst reason.
Mine shirts
all wrapped up in one.
This dental visit is a little more stressful these days than normal.
I was just there.
It's like, should I get my teeth cleaned or risk death? So.
I was in your same boat, Frederick. I just went like not even 3 weeks ago. So
Yeah. So
Same.
I said, you know what? You got to do it. If it gets me, it gets me. I got to go. So, but they were amazingly prepared, though. You had to do a questionnaire. You text them, and they come out and get you.
Yeah,
it was
stuff, everything.
Yeah. They were in like Intel bunny suits.
Yeah, mine too.
That's right, about right.
Yeah. Frederick will drag you into this in a minute, but I'll just keep going at the moment. Ken, purchase HomePod Mini or not?
I don't know. I've got until the 6th to decide. It's part of me wants to, but the HomePod that I have currently doesn't get nearly as much use as I expected it to. Because mostly if I'm listening to music, I'm not writing, and mostly I'm writing, doing Mac OS Ken or some other stuff. So it might be a superfluous $99. At the same time, I am curious putting it someplace else, because right now the one that I have is in the bedroom. And so putting it someplace, like down in the kitchen, I always have to take out my phone and say, hey, do this, or set a timer or whatever. It might be more interesting that way. So I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence.
Okay, that's fair. Brittany?
I'm thinking about it, but I wasn't thinking about it before today.
We didn't know about it before today.
Well, I know, welcome. But when we hypothesized, I assumed no, and now it's like maybe.
I see. So, Frederick, we're obviously wrapping up the HomePod Mini discussion. Thoughts, and will you be getting one?
Yes, multiple, and the reason is I have multiple of the Echo devices in the house, and I've become increasingly suspicious of their listening activities. But we like the AI. Plus, I'm using Apple Music, so I'm kind of in that ecosystem already. And I do like the idea of the intercom feature on there. That looks pretty interesting. So yeah, I think, and it's only $99. So I'll replace my existing in-house AI with an Apple AI, and we'll see if it can perform as well. And for $99, it's not that much of a risk. It's not like it's $300 or something. $100, we can play with it and see if it works.
So are you going to start with one and then move out to three? Because you're saying it's only $99, but you also said multiple.
It's going to be $500, Ken.
Okay, all right. That's cool. Okay, I'll try it out for 100 times 5.
No, you're 600.
So I'll take HomePod for 100, Alex.
Hey, okay. You only live once.
Yeah.
So tell us, what is happening, or what are you observing that's making you uncomfortable with the listening of your current devices?
Well, that you hear these. I don't have any substantiated data, but you hear that, hey, they're listening to you and making recommendations inside the Amazon shopping engine based on keywords and that kind of thing. So you hear that, and then also many of the ones I have, I don't know if they need a firmware update, but they just start blurting out answers to questions I didn't ask from time to time, and it's freaky. And I'm thinking maybe my neighbors, they're answering questions that my neighbors asked on theirs or someone else, and if so, are they responding to my questions in someone else's home?
One of mine has just started like emotionally preparing to do the thing I asked for. So
Dave, I'm sorry.
It's very much like my dad broke his hip a couple of years ago, and it's very much like my dad getting off the couch. Like it takes a minute for everything to kind of get going before he can, build the momentum to stand, and now he's standing up. And like I feel like that's what's happening to at least one of the Echoes at my house. I've done all the stuff that I know how to do, and it still doesn't seem to be any happier. So that's part of what has made me think, like, I wonder if there's, like, I was sort of kicking around the idea, I wonder if anybody has fallen enough out of love with their HomePod that maybe I know someone who might be selling it, to see if it would make a difference now that I've been building up the HomeKit inventory in my house and setting things up in HomeKit and things like that. Like, maybe I wonder if there's a HomePod option available, and now there is. And for $99, it's definitely something that you know, I feel like I could cut it an awful lot of slack and still come out ahead of the current Amazon situation I have. So we'll see.
The Amazon situation. That's, if I did show titles, that might be the show title. That wraps up the first part of this extra long MacVoices live panel about Apple's high-speed event. Next time, we start into a discussion of the iPhone's 12, all models, get the panel's reaction to them, the feature sets, and which ones are for which panel members and which ones might be for you. That's all next time on MacVoices. I hope you'll join us. Until then, and as always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.